And it's holiday season, so a lot of our regular members are not really, couldn't be here. However, we will carry on. Today, the subject of our discussion is a short film called Charachar. It's a Bengali film. The director is Buddhadeb Dasgupta, and it's about a bird catcher, so in empathy with his victims that he is unable to make a business out of selling birds. So Buddhadeb Dasgupta is a veteran and very versatile filmmaker, both feature films as well as documentaries. And he has a very long career. He started making films, I think, in the 70s, and then still makes films today. And he had some very famous feature films. The presenter today is Monali Chatterji, who is no stranger to this forum. She is a film and theater enthusiast and is really enthusiastic about her subject. So I'll hand over without more ado to Monali.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. I'll just share the screen. So my topic is Buddhadeb Dasgupta's film Charachar. It translates as Shelter of the Wings. This is what I'll be talking about. Buddhadeb Dasgupta, his films, awards, information about the character, summary of Charachar, and finally the conclusion. So Buddhadeb Dasgupta has had a very vibrant career. He was influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, Karl Marx, and Tagore. He grew up in the rural areas of West Bengal. Apart from publishing several volumes of poetry, he was also into publishing short stories, which were immensely popular. Before he became a film director, he was also a lecturer of economics. And it is during this time that he had become slightly more sensitive to some of the issues of the day that he talks about in his films. So as you can see, this is a very long list of his films. Some of them are documentaries, many of them are short stories. The one that I'll be talking about is a feature film. So Charachar was released in 1993 in India and 1994 in many other countries. As you can see, there's a very long list of awards here that it has won, including the National Film Award for which is the winner Golden Lotus Award and the best feature film. So this is based on a story by Prafulla Rai, who is also a very eminent short story writer. So the characters are Lakhinder, popularly known as Lakha in the story. This is played by Rajit Kapoor. His wife's role is played by Lavani Sarkar, another famous Bengali actor. Sadhu Meher is also a very versatile actor. He plays the role of Bhushan. Bhushan is another bird catcher like Lakha, and Gauri is Bhushan's daughter. I will introduce the characters of Natavar and Kalicharan in the course of the story. So this is how the story goes. Lakhinder or Lakha is a bird catcher living in a village in West Bengal. He is so attached to his birds that he unmindfully releases them out of their cages. He lives with his wife in dire poverty. His wife often complains to Lakha about the birds often mysteriously disappearing, and he threatens to leave him if he is responsible. Lakha often goes to the forest with Bhushan, an elderly bird catcher, to catch birds. Bhushan's daughter Gauri carries their lunch for them. One day, Lakha catches a little white bird, which you can actually see on the screen, and by entrapping it in his nets, and immediately recognizes it. He has caught this bird for the third time, and the bird is not even scared of its hunter. Lakha remembers that he can sell it to Shashmal Babu, the bird dealer. Gauri knows that Lakha is the happiest when he sets his captivated birds free. He loved birds so much. Um, on his way to the city to sell birds, Lakha complains to Bhushan that he no longer likes selling birds, even though it is his family profession. Although he has caught and sold so many birds just to make a living, Lakha is anguished by the possibility that half of those captivated birds are consumed by the city dwellers. Excuse me. So Bhushan points out that it is their only way to make a living. Lakha almost feels the agony of the captivated birds who are later sold away. Lakha remembers his 3-year-old son Nitai, who died 6 or 7 years ago. He tells Bhushan that Nitai had noticed a dead bird a few days before his death. It wasn't the first time, but he cried that day. Nitai buried the bird, hoping that by planting the dead bird, it would be a bird tree again. Lakha tells Bhushan, while still traveling to the city by a boat, carrying the birds for sale, as you can see on the screen, that he often remembers his son Nitai. On the day of selling the birds, Lakha often dreams of Nitai weeping pitifully.
এই
It
যে
is
মেয়েটা
only
ছেলে
after
মানুষ
it is
গুজরাটি
only
কলেজ
after a
গুজরাটি
long
কলেজে পড়ে
time that his
আহমেদাবাদে
wife Sari has been able to forget the pain of losing their son. Lakha feels that he loves birds even more than he loved Nitai. Bhushan advises Lakha to think about his family. Birds are the source of their income. Bhushan points out that by catching and selling them, they earn a living, else they would starve. The next scene shows Nitai burying a dead bird. So, yeah, so the next scene shows Nitai burying a dead bird, and Lakha awakens from his dream and finds a bird at the window. Sari knew that Lakha loved birds more than her. Natovar, actually non-Bengali will call him Natwar, so this person is Natovar. He's Shashmal Babu's agent. Shashmal Babu is the bird dealer. He comes to Lakha's house from Kolkata on a bike next morning. Natobar reminds Lakha that Shashmal has been waiting for him to come with birds, as Shashmal has received a heavy order for birds in the city. Lakha claims that he hasn't got enough birds. Sari seems to like Natobar. This is played by a very famous actor, Shankar Chakrabarti. Lakhinder and Bhushan set out to catch birds while Natobar stays behind in their village. Bhushan tells Lakha that when they go looking for birds, this is a process of bird hunting that you can see here. So that when they go out looking for birds, Natovar secretly meets his wife, Sari. Lakha wonders why the supply of birds never ends, even though he and his forefathers have caught birds for generations. He secretly tries to liberate the encaged birds he has caught, but Bhushan stops him. Bhushan suggests that they should sell those birds to Shashmal Babu. The next day, Lakha tells Bhushan that he dreams of the roaring seas and 1,000 birds. They get onto a boat from Nityanandpur Ghat with their encaged birds. So there they meet a stranger, Kalicharan, which is played by Manoj Mitra, again, another very famous actor here in the center. Kalicharan is also a bird dealer, like Shashmal. He tells them that people buy birds for various reasons, as pets, as performers in a circus, or as inhabitants in a zoo. His shop is located in Hathibagan in Kolkata. Shashmal is unhappy with the meager stock of birds from Lakhinder and Bhushan. Lakha had brought only 30 birds, and he had already taken over 100 rupees in advance from Shashmal. Natovar had reported that, according to Sari, Lakha was reluctant to catch birds. Shashmal's agent said that the factories are ruining the air, and so the birds will stop coming. Wars and bombs are further pollutants. Lakha could only get rupees 10 by selling 30 birds because of the money that he had borrowed from Shashmal in advance. Lakha and Bhushan secretly meet Kalicharan, who was present at the at Shashmal's shop. This is Shashmal. He gives them the address of his shop in Hatibagan. Kalicharan gives them the money in advance to bring birds for him and suggests that they work for him discreetly. On reaching their village, Bhushan and Lakha decide to divide their supply of birds between Kalicharan and Shashmal. Bhushan points out that Shashmal doesn't pay enough for the birds, causing them to starve. Lakha remarks, actually, we trap the birds and Shashmal traps us. Just like birds escape us sometimes, we too will escape from Shashmal. Bhushan is worried about Gauri's wedding expenses. Lakha tells Sari that he fears that she will leave him for Natovar. Sari complains about their poverty. Lakha resolves to sell more birds. Sari is barely able to forget the pain of losing her son. This is another dream sequence that follows. If anybody is interested, I will show this at the end of the presentation. But the next day, Lakha releases both the captivated birds. While hunting, Lakha tells Bhushan that he wants to earn more money by catching more birds, but he sometimes is seized by the strong desire to set them free. While enjoying the smell of the trees in the rain, Lakha tells Bhushan that maybe Sari is the one who is chasing Natovar. Bhushan and Lakha plan to go to Kolkata and sell the birds. Lakha fancies the life of the birds because they experience no anxiety to earn money or have no family to look after. Sari meets Natovar secretly in a deserted house. They meet regularly. She complains to him about Lakha's attachment with birds. The same evening, Lakha tells Sari that he would be going to Kolkata to sell the birds to a different bird dealer for more money. Sari complains that his habit of setting birds free is a hard habit to break. She suggests to Lakha, think of me like one of your birds and set me free. But Lakha says, if you fly away from here, you will just enter another cage. Why don't you wait a while and see if I can do something? If I do, will you be able to give up Natovar? While waiting for Bhushan the next day in his house, Lakha tells Gauri, who sympathizes with his love for birds, that if he has birds in his life, Sari will fly away, and Sari in his life, then the birds will fly away. The next day, Lakha and Bhushan travel to Kalicharan's bird shop in Kolkata. Kalicharan invites them to his house for a prayer ceremony for the birds and a grand feast. After the prayer ceremony, during the feast, Kalicharan encourages the guests to have more food. He tells Lakha that the soft meat that he is eating is that of the wild geese from his village. This rouses so much disgust in Lakha that he throws up. Lakha goes to Kalicharan's shop, resolving not to sell birds to him, and returns home with his cages alone. Sari is disappointed to see Lakha return home with the cages. Lakha explains that he is unable to sell birds out of sympathy for them. The next day, he sets all his caged birds free. Later, when he's playing with the birds in the forest, Gauri appears to tell him that his wife Sari has eloped with Natovar and has gone for good. Lakha is not surprised. Gauri subtly proposes to Lakha for marriage. Lakha returns home. Bhushan scolds him for ignoring his warning. Lakha goes to sleep. He sleeps for several days at a stretch and wakes up to the chirping of a large number of birds on his windowsill and all over the cottage. This is a beautiful scene. If possible, I'll show this at the end of the presentation. Gauri gets married and Lakha watches her leaving the village in a palanquin. Lakha and Sari watch each other from the window of Sari's new home with Natobar. Bhushan alights a boat with empty cages and finds Lakha playing with the birds. Bhushan tells Lakha that Shashmal is offering more money to bird catchers and was inquiring about Lakha's dues. Lakha replies that he depends on the jungle for food and will work in the fields for money. Bhushan challenges Lakha to retrieve his wife back from Natovar's clutches. When Lakha sees Sari on Natovar's motorbike, he commands Sari to come with him. Um, Sari tells Lakha that if happiness is defined by food, clothes, and shelter, then she is happy. Lakha allows her to return to Natovar, and he sees Nitai in his dream again. The next morning, Lakha again wakes up in his hut, which is full of birds. He opens the door of his hut and heads towards the sea. It is roaring with waves, with thousands of birds in the sky. His transition into the world of dreams is complete. So, as you can see, it's a very simple story. The portrayal is a very beautiful one, a very poignant one. The themes are very evident. It does show, the film does show throughout how a person is desperate to connect with the nature that has nurtured him in so many ways, particularly with his affinity for birds. Apart from this, it also shows how one remains loyal to one's values despite the inconvenience. The theme of love looms large here. So it shows how far one can go for love, and not just love for human beings or conveniences, but for birds who are a part of Lakha's life. The style of narration is simple. It is uh, it is linear in terms of the mode of narration. It is intercepted with scenes of dreams and fantasy, but that too is very limited in number. The camera has long shots and mid-long shots. So the long shots show how or where the scene is taking place, and the mid-long shots show further details. There are also plenty of point of view shots to see or to make the viewers see Lakha's point of view in particular. The message of the film is communicated through the themes as well as the recurrent appearances of Lakha's dream. It has dialogues, but the dialogues are very limited compared to a lot of the contemporary films and web series that we watch in the present day. For those who are interested, there are other films by Buddhadeb Dasgupta that are very, very interesting. These are the English names for the films, but they are almost all of them are available on YouTube. The Flight is a Bengali film called Uro Jahaj. This is a very beautiful film talking about one's own fantasy. The Bait is actually called Tope in Bengali. In case if somebody is interested, I can share the links with this. I think these are his best films. They have been showered with awards, particularly in the international scene of cinema. It is surprising that not many people know about Buddhadeb Dasgupta in India, but abroad he is very popular. Sniffer is a Hindi film. It actually translates as Anwar Ki Ajab Kahani. Wo is also a Bengali film. Window, oh, this is an amazing film. It talks about a lot of corruption that occurs in the government sectors. It talks about how an alumnus wants a new window for his primary school and what happens to the money that he gives the school. Again, the next one, Warriors, is a beautiful film. The person you can see on the screen is Samira Reddy. She features in a couple of his films. Kal Purush translates as memory in the mist. Chased by Dreams is Shopne Deen. I could have taken these films, but the problem was that they did not have subtitles. At least YouTube hasn't got them. Mondo Me Rupakhan actually brought a lot of recognition for Buddhadev Dasgupta. The Wrestlers is a spine-chilling film. So is Bait, the one that you can see on top. And there's Lal Darja. Again, this is very autobiographical in nature because Buddhadev Dasgupta's father was a medical practitioner, a doctor, and the Lal Darja also talks about a person whose father was a doctor and he became a doctor too. We have already talked about The Shelter of Wings. Tahader Kotha features Mithun Chakravarti. It got him a lot of accolades for his performance. Of course, the director also got awards for that. This film, The Tiger Man, is a Hindi film. It's called Bagh Bahadur. If anybody is interested, please watch it. It talks about the diminishing forms of art in our country. This talks about how folk art defeats in front of popular entertainment, even in the villages where chow dance was so popular once upon a time. So Bitter Morsel is Ni Mannapuna. This was perhaps one of his first films. Distance is Duratta. Again, this is a very beautiful psychological drama. So that's it. Thank you for your time.
Runa, you're on mute.
You've given us a very good, in a nutshell, all about Buddhadev Dasgupta's films. I want to start off the discussion with a question. Why do you think the title is called Charachar? I mean, Charachar has many meanings. So they have given the English title as Shelter of Wings, but its main meaning is also universe, the world, large expanse, you know.
Yes.
So why do you think it's called Charachar? I mean, what is the application?
I think in most of the cases, particularly in this film, I could see that everything is shown from the point of view of Lakha because he has a very unique point of view as far as his birds are concerned. So for him, the world of birds is the entire world for him. So when he loses his friends, he's just fine. He loses the company of Bhushan, his only friend, that too is fine with him. He loses the company of his wife, and that's a heavy price to pay, but he was still attached to his world of his winged friends. And that is why I think this film is called Charachar. Alternatively, this is again my, it's possible that that an alternative world that we normally ignore, giving importance to our own conveniences. So probably Charachar is this alternative world that we can survive in. And it is not like we are going to die because of that. Just because his transition, Lakha's transition to this world of his dreams is complete, it doesn't mean that he's going to starve and die. So he has already told Bhushan that there are alternative forms of living. So I live by that. So it doesn't matter if Sari is not with me.
So mainly the expanse then, because the last shot is just that, the wide ocean
Yes.
with lots of birds, in which
Yes.
would you think that the theme of freedom,
Yes.
complete freedom, is what you're left with in the end?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now anyone else wants to ask, can they put up their hands, please? Yeah, okay, Shakun.
Yeah. I have a question about the names of the characters. See, the story is set in Bengal. It's written by a Bengali writer and it's directed by a Bengali person. So why are the names like Lakhinder is a very North Indian name? So I just...
They are not Bengali.
Sorry?
They are not Bengali.
No,
they are not Bengali.
It's set in Bengal.
It's set in
It's
Bengal.
in Bengal, yes, but they are not, yeah. they belong to some kind of a migrant community, because you can look at Lakin's house and all that. And most of them are, they can speak Bengali, but they have a dialectical problem with
Okay,
Bengali.
okay.
They don't speak the Bengali that we do. There's a saying that every 5 kilometers, your language changes
Oh,
every
okay.
5 kilometers. So, because Lakhan is not a Bengali name at
No,
all.
Lakhin
Lakhan is, yeah,
certainly,
yeah,
even
yeah.
Bhushan is not for that matter.
Bhushan also, yeah,
Also
Bhushan,
sari.
Sari,
Hmm.
Sari, yeah, all these are not really Bengali names originally, and
answer-
therefore they are. I assume that nobody's saying that, but I assume that from the film at least. I have
Yes.
not read the story. I've seen the film. From
Uh-huh.
the film at least, it appears that they are not Bengali necessarily. They have
Yeah.
a kind of a fluid identity.
Oh,
You're living in Bengal and yet not Bengali, something
oh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
So,
so.
apart from this, the names of the character, the film somehow, I recently saw a film called All That Breathes, which was nominated for Oscars also from India. It's a documentary.
Yeah,
And
I have not had the chance to watch.
it's about the love for kites. It's about two
Yeah,
brothers,
yeah.
and that really
And the love for,
for the love of the birds. So this is quite similar to that in the
yeah,
sense
yeah.
of the birds.
This is taken from this is taken from an original story by a
Yeah.
Bengali author. I don't remember the name of the author, and Buddhadeb
Prafulla
Dasgupta
Rai.
was very fond of. Yeah,
Yeah,
Prafulla
that's
Rai, yeah.
yeah.
And Buddhadeb Dasgupta especially was very fond of this author. So he was the author and he wrote it like that. And you can see the open spaces in the film itself. It opens a whole vistas. It can be anywhere. Actually, if you look at it from that perspective, it can be anywhere in the world. This man can be from anywhere, any village, any small town in India, who loves birds more than he loves people. As
Yeah.
you said so rightly when you read it. He loves more.
Mhm. But when I was trying to analyze the character,
That's very difficult for us to accept because we are all a social animal.
no, I was thinking in terms of his wife,
Character of?
Sari. I mean, can everybody hear
Yes,
me?
Sari.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the wife's character,
Yeah.
it's very easy to find fault with her that she wants to leave the husband because she's very unhappy that he's not earning enough.
No fault.
But if you look at it
No,
from
no.
what is her fault? I mean, I don't think
It's
that.
it's very practical.
No.
It's not her fault.
She's
very
not. I mean,
practical.
who's finding fault?
Okay.
No, that is what she. That is
Character
what
it's portrayed.
Mona Lisa said.
Yeah, the
Okay.
way it's portrayed. But I think she did the right thing. Unless, I mean, in those days, the women used to go out and, earn a living. Then she could have stepped out and earned a living and continue to live with the husband.
Okay.
But obviously, she thought the easier way out is to get married to a person who's
No,
earning.
Okay.
I want to butt in
Yeah.
here. You know what? Amongst people who are coming from such basic backgrounds, where they have subsistence level living,
Mhm.
so their morality is much looser. Let's not even use the word morality. Even marriage
Values.
is a very practical thing.
Hmm.
So, changing partners for practical reasons or whatever it is, there's no judgment in it. Yeah.
And walking in and out of relationships, it's
Is
very
also
natural
not a
for
big
them.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a
Runa.
natural for them.
When
Okay,
she said,
I just want to say something here.
Right.
Can I just answer Shakun ma'am's questions here? So now regarding the names, so before making this presentation, I did go around because the names seemed very unfamiliar to me as well. And
Yes.
as Soma ma'am was rightly pointing out, that they are probably migrants. But
Yeah.
before we get into this idea of migration and things of this kind, let me make it very clear that at least I don't know about the rest of the country, but at least in Bengal, this entire idea of Mansa Devi, for that matter, so we
Right.
call her Monosha,
Mm.
okay, Lokhinder, Behula are extremely popular characters.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seemed to me at a certain point that Lokha, okay, who is a short for Lokhinder, in the mythology dies and Behula claims his life back from Lord Yama, for
Indra.
that matter.
Yeah.
Indra, sorry.
Indra.
Okay, and here
Yeah.
it is just the other way around. So it shows how Sari leaves Lakhinder for better subsistence. But there is a time wherein Sari actually tells Lakha that I'm not leaving you for because you are in dire poverty. I'm not doing that. I'm doing that because you're not even making an attempt to earn a living. It has got nothing to, I'm okay with what I have. I am okay with this cottage. I've got everything. I'm just fine, but at least make an attempt. So this is exactly what Lakha faces as a conflict. So his major conflict was, this is what he even tells Gauri, that see, if I have Sari in my life, the birds will fly away. Okay? And this is not, so that is what he talks about, that I cannot allow the birds to fly away from my life. But if the birds are there, then Sari is going to leave. Okay, and in fact, Sari tells Lakha that why don't you also allow me to flee? And then Lakha has a very important point. He says that, see, in case of this is the kind of bondage you want to leave, then you'll get into another cage. So if you fly away, fair enough, but you will get into another cage.
Of the women with the bird, because he clearly says that you'll be, fleeting from one cage to another.
Exactly.
It's really poignant. And also when Sari says that if being happy means having 2 meals a day, good clothes and a roof over my head, then I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Clearly indicating she is also like not very sure what is happiness,
Exactly.
No, that's how she sees it. Acha, Shupriya Di and Audip both have raised their hands together. So whoever wants to speak first.
It goes to Shupriya Modi first.
No,
Okay,
actually, what I wanted to tell, that is already said, I wanted to tell about the names. They are that Behula Lokhinder. That story is their famous Bengali mythological story. Then the story of Shuk Shari. We don't pronounce as Sari, but we pronounce as Shari, Shuk Shari. So these names are there in Bengali literature. And this movie is in the rural background of India. Yeah, of course they talk some dialects, of rural Bengal. So it's totally Bengali. That only I wanted to say.
Okay.
Audip?
I have an altogether different point to raise. I'm thankful to Pune Book Club for taking this movie for discussion today. I didn't see this movie before, so I have seen this movie, and the feeling that I got, Monali was trying to come out with that, but I think we got submerged in something else. Monali, actually, I got the feeling that all of us have some feeling inside, right? Bird is one of the beautiful creation, and you cage it, and the height was when he was served the meal with bird's meat, right? So, that possibly triggered the action which he was hesitating. Actually, he was domesticated. He was in a cage with his wife and things like that. So the first thing that which Runa had raised, Charachar, it is vastness, openness, and he wanted to get back to that. That's a wonderful feeling which Buddhadeb Dasgupta has left with his audience. I don't know, what is your feeling?
Correct.
And
I agree with you, especially with the last scene. And Sari represents Thongshar, having a domestic life, being bound by the normal things. You have to earn your living, you have to eat, etc., etc. She represents that vis-a-vis total liberty and freedom to do, or freedom just to be. So yeah, I would say that is the main theme or message.
I think main theme is, like in Hindi, there is a kahavat, ghoda ghas se dosti karega to khayega kya, which is aptly fits this character.
That's the contradiction in life.
Shakun, possibly you have become half Bengali by now.
Yes.
Actually, there is a song in Bengali. I can see that there are a few Bengali in this today's gathering as well. Amar Mukti Aloe Alo. I think that is the message which he wanted to pass on.
Which is?
Amar
Um,
Mukti Alo Yalo means my freedom is in light, you know.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's
Yeah.
a Tagore thing.
Yeah, I wanted to just make a comment here. That is Buddhadeb Dasgupta, somebody, when we were reviewing his films in a program, soon after he passed away, one of the actors who has acted in many films of his says that I noticed one very distinct thing in Buddhadeb Dasgupta as a director, that he wanted to capture a lot of sky, a visual of a lot of sky, which we find it's not there in every film, of course. But
Mm.
Shudipta says, that's the actress. She says that I always observed that he used to take mid shots and close ups and everything. He was a little reluctant about close ups that we have seen in all films. Either they were mid shots or they were long shots. And whenever there was a long shot and it was a locationally set film, like Charachar was a very location set film. Many of his films, Anwar Mia Ke Ajab Dastan is also partly locational, not full. And Charachar is fully locational, a lot of sky. So
Yes.
that, you know, triggered in me some thought. Now, Buddhadeb was no longer alive, so I couldn't discuss it with him. I knew him very well, discuss it with him. But it struck me as very, very touching that so much of sky. We live in the city, he also lives in the city. Where do we see the sky at all? We are always stuck to our books, or we are stuck to our work, or we are stuck to the kitchen, or we are stuck to the television, or we are stuck to the mobile phone. That's all we are doing. Where do we see
the
the sky?
vastness of this
Yeah.
vastness of the sky represents something totally
Yeah,
different, which
universal.
we are losing touch with, you know.
Yeah, we are
urbanites.
losing actually every day. Yeah. And another
Mr. Sinha.
small anecdote which I want to share is
Yeah.
Rajit Kapoor. Rajit Kapoor did not know any Bangla. And
Yeah.
he was very insistent to speak his own lines. So Buddhadeb sent him the entire script with the cassette, and in those days we had cassettes and all that. The cassette with the dialogues recited by somebody. And this guy, poor fellow, he went on memorizing it and memorizing it and memorizing it. And in the end, he was so shocked. He said, I'll never work with Buddhadeb Dasgupta again, because he still dubbed my line. For 1 year, I worked on the dialogue, 1 full year. And it was not, I didn't have too much of dialogue to speak. So it was not a big problem for me. And without telling me, he just dubbed my voice, which was taking away half the credit of the film. All right. So,
Yeah, that-
but yeah.
And Anjan's voice, yes. Yeah.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Sinha, you
yeah.
would like to say
Whose voice
something?
I
Mr.
don't know.
Sinha? Yeah. Your voice, you're on mute.
Monali, I enjoyed the presentation. I came late, whatever I saw. But I do want you to throw some more light on the relationship of Lakha with Gauri. It's not a replica of the earlier relationship. So why does it say no and so on? Please throw some light on that.
Why does he refuse Gauri's proposal? Is what you're
And what's the
asking?
nature of the relationship? Till she gets married and goes away.
Okay. So of course, no such affinity with Gauri is seen, but there are a couple of scenes, not a couple of 3 or 4 scenes, wherein we can see that Gauri tries to sympathize with Lakha and his love for birds. There are times when Gauri reminds Lakha that please don't make sure that you don't set your birds free, because now that you have enough birds, you can sell them. Or there's a time when there's a very beautiful scene, I did show it in my presentation, wherein he does say that, you know, I really understand your love for birds. And Lakha replies that I wish Gauri also shared your kind of understanding for birds, and also my love for birds. If Gauri could sympathize with this, then our relationship would have been better. Also
Gauri,
something that I
Sorry.
sorry, yes. In fact, something that I noticed in the film was there aren't many dialogues, but whatever is present as a dialogue is extremely significant. A lot can be thought about it, a lot can be said about each of those lines that are given. So that is why I quoted some of those lines from that film. There's something I just wanted to mention in continuation with what Shoma ma'am just said. there is this, I'll just try and share the screen again, just to show this particular slide. No, I just lost it.
Doesn't matter.
Can anybody see this?
But it's not clear.
It is not clear. Oh, okay.
It's not focused. Now it is.
Now
It
it's
is?
clear. Yes.
So, of course, the background is not clear, but you can see Lakha, Bhushan, and Gauri traveling, and they are going to the city to sell birds. But as you can see, there's land and then the sky. So
This
this is
guy.
very typical of Buddhadeb Dasgupta's films. So whether it is Uttara or Kalpurush or Lal Darcha or Duratta or and you name the film, and he has done exactly this in all his films. Mondo Mein Rupa-Khan. So they are all the same in terms of this. I mean, this kind of a scene does come up. And in case if you are interested in other forms of art, please watch Bagh Bahadur. It is in Hindi. It features Pawan Malhotra in his best, and it's an amazing film. So please do watch it. I'm sure you will enjoy it.
To answer Mr. Sinha's question again, the reason why Lakha doesn't take up
He's
Gauri's
off.
suggestion to marry, I think he realizes that, marrying her will be the same thing as being married to Shari. He will be
Right.
bound. He will be bound to sort of earn a living and so on and so forth. So I
Yeah.
suppose that is the reason he doesn't really take her. For her, for him, it's one girl or the other. It doesn't make much difference, very minor difference.
He was also quite in love with his wife. So,
Yes.
I mean, it was the circumstances that led to their separation.
Mm,
And he want to get trapped into another relationship.
yeah.
Because it's not that he was not in love with his wife. He wanted her to stay with him. But he only lets her free.
Mm. Yeah, he understands the value of freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Sunita.
Yeah, so first of all, Monali, I just want to thank you so much for introducing me to this filmmaker. I had not seen any of his movies. I was just going to come and attend this session, and I'm so glad that I, spent the afternoon watching this movie, and I enjoyed it so much. So thank you so much for that. Like you mentioned, I think the dialogues really stood out for me. I think every line, there's such few dialogues, but every line is like it's like a quote that one could, use in terms of, how, we trap the birds and the bird trapper traps us, or it was about, setting people free, and it just beautiful. The dialogues are very, very lovely. We spoke about Sari before, and, her leaving and moving to another person who was just going to feed her and give her a roof. But to me, I feel her character was so beautifully shown, where so much of the dialogue was about how she was not his number one love. And that sort of bothered her for so long that there was no point for her to stay in that marriage, right? She had lost a child. She had a husband who just did not give her that number one position. And that was so beautifully depicted. And it's interesting to me that he picked Rajat Kapoor to play this role. I wonder, he's a fabulous actor, there's no doubt about it, but I'm sure there are enough of Bengali actors as well who could have done this role, but so that's an interesting thing to see Rajat Kapoor play that role. But it was fabulous. Thank you for giving us this. I understand your passion now. Before we started this session, I could feel how excited you were about this movie, and I thought this is the Bengali part of it, as to how excited she's getting. But I truly understand how fabulous this filmmaker is, and thank you for sharing all the other movies as well. I am going to watch Bagh Bahadur for sure, if not the others. So thank you.
So anyone else? No, I think everyone is done. It's almost 7, not yet quite. It's a short film, so I suppose the discussion was longer than the presentation, I think. So can we sort of bring this session to a close? Yeah.
If you share the screenshot which Monali has suggested for us to see. So that would help.
Monali, can you go back to that with all his films, that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm going to make notes now and I'll watch them.
No, so Monali, what you can do is you can give me it's in the list. It's in the list, which he is in the presentation. I'll send that.
I'll show both. I'll show
send
both.
That, I'll send that list to you.
Yes, I'm showing both of them. So
Okay.
this is the last slide that I had shown. You can take a screenshot of this. Let me just hide this up so that you can see it.
Fine, it's a very fine print. I'll take a screenshot, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and I'll also show the other one, wherein the entire list is given. Yeah.
Still showing only 3 names.
Here it is.
Really? So some of them are documentaries as well, but Andhi Gali is an amazing film. Again, it's Hindi, so I think everybody can watch it.
Which one? Which one?
Andhi Gali. It's 1984. I'm pointing out to the film, but I don't know if you can see the pointer. So it's 1984, Andhi Gali. Again, an amazing film. I'm not going to say what it is about, otherwise it's giving away everything. So, and in case if anybody can get Uttara, which was released in the year 2000, you will find it as relevant as it was during the time when it was released. So it's about religious differences and sectorial violence.
What's the name you said?
Uttara.
Uttara. Okay.
Yeah, this one.
2000.
So 2000.
Yeah.
But this is a Bengali film, but it is usually available with subtitles. I cannot remember what I had seen on YouTube, whether it is present with or without subtitles.
On some platform or the other, Netflix or something, and they usually have subtitles. So that's not
And in case if there are fans of Samira Reddy here, then in the year 2000, Ami Yasin Arabar Madhubala. This is again, and I don't know how he managed to make this film. It is totally out of the blue. It is so filled with the idea of fantasy and reality, and what happens when the two don't meet. The kind of catastrophe is given here, and it is amazing. So it like a few months ago when Alia Bhatt was talking about people peeping into her house and destroying her privacy. I mean, this is exactly what this film talks about. So destroying one's privacy. So it translates as voyeurs in English, but it is actually Ami as an I, Yasin. Yasin is my friend, and my Madhubala. So this is how it is, and it is amazing. Choli Ke Piche is actually based on Mahashweta Devi's short story. So again, so each film has a very beautiful idea behind it. In 1992, Tahade Kotha came with a lot of controversy, but again, it was a very beautiful film.
Thank you so much for this wealth of information.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm so happy that there are so many who are not even Bengalis and who have watched it and who have even liked it. So
yeah, I watch a lot of regional cinema, even Malayalam and everything, because I feel the regional cinema is better than Hindi, what Hindi film dishes out Bollywood. The industry. You know, so
exactly. And in fact, art
subtitles, so it's very easy now.
Yes, and besides, art can never have a language.
Art is its own language, yeah.
Yes, exactly. No language, no religion, no country whatsoever.
Absolutely. Thank you for your presentation. Really. Enjoy.
Yes. So Monali, thank you very much. As you can see, everybody has appreciated everything, including all this information you've given about this very talented director. And I would now like to bring the session to a close. And till next time, bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Rona.
Bye.
So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.